Yeah, good evening, everyone. Everyone is able to hear me? All right. Yeah, just 2 minutes, I'll start. All right, then. So now we will see the next tool, which is JMeter. We'll see the next tool, JMeter. I'm just sharing my screen. 1 minute. How many of you have idea on JMeter? See, this is used for performance testing. Okay, this is used for performance testing. Okay. See, a programmer develops the code. Okay. And he needs to test if this code is perform. See, code will work. You are getting the result. But whether the code is running slowly or fastly. And he needs to test if this code is performing to the speed or not. See, for example, say 2 developers will write this code to achieve the same output. But if one code is running in 50 milliseconds and the other code is taking 100 milliseconds to run it, the code which is running 50 milliseconds is faster, right? So always the program or the application running in lesser time is faster and best. Okay. So we need to test whether the application is performing slowly or fastly. So we need to test whether the application is performing slowly or fastly. Slow applications are bad. Fast applications are good. So this is called performance testing. So performance testing is nothing but testing the performance of the application. Testing the performance of the application. Say, for example, you develop a website. Okay. Let us take, you developed a website. Okay. You developed a website. So, okay, this website is having kind of some buttons, some menu items, menu links, etc. Suppose if we click a button and it takes time to open the next page of the application. That means it is very slow. See how the user gets frustrated. Right? Definitely right. If you are the user, I am the user, I open a web page. Okay, if I click a button and it is very taking long time to go to the next page of the website. If it is very slow, you will get frustrated, right? That means what is happening? The application is performing very slowly. The application is performing very slowly. Okay. Sometimes what will happen is when you test the application, it is working fastly. But when you deploy that to production server, suddenly it becomes slow. What will happen? Because it is taking more load actually. Okay. Suppose you developed a website. And you hosted this website in a production server, for example. You open this website in a production server. Okay. Now what will happen is this website is performing well, say for as long as say for 100 requests, for example. When 100 users tries to access this, see, these users are from different geographical locations. Okay. See, this website, think like you have a website like your Amazon.com or Flipkart.com, and the different users from different regions, from their browsers, they will access this website. So 100 users tries to access this application, to access this website. Right? So what will happen is, this website is, see, this website is working fine as long as 100 users are there. But suppose if suddenly this 100 users becomes 5,000 users suddenly. So your website is getting more business and your website is getting more viewers. more views your website is getting. Suddenly 5,000 users came or accessing your website, right? So what will happen now? So your website now starts becoming slow. So when load is increased, that means load means when more number of users are accessing, when load is increased, so website that means, so we have to do load testing. Load testing means, see, it is directly proportional to performance testing. So load testing means you have to first start with minimal load and you have to increase the load. When you say load means number of users, and hit your website, test your website, so that, see, your website should work well, both with 100 users and both with 5,000 users. Even if your load is increased from 100 to 5,000, from 5,000 to 10,000, your website should perform well. That is the objective. If it is not performing well means, suppose if your performance testing or load testing gives bad results means, you have to check your code. Why you have to check your code? Why the code is running slowly? Or you have to check the server capacity. What is your server's RAM size, memory size? What is your server CPU size, CPU cores count size? So there are so many factors to improve the performance of the application. But first and foremost, you have to test the. So once your application is ready, the first and foremost is you have to test the performance of the application. So either performance of the application or do load testing. Load testing means first you have to start with 100 users, then increase the users to 500 to 1,000 and see the request response time and all that. So that is how you will do. So basically what we'll be measuring in the performance testing is, so we need to test first request response time. So we need to test request response time. So what is request response time means? Say for example, I hit a page www.flipkart.com. Now, so you have issued a request, and within how much time this flipkart.com page has been rendered. So you have to see the response of that flipkart.com. Okay, that is how the request response time. So ideally, every website should give the response within 1 second. So that is ideal for a best website. Ideally, the response of a website should be within 1 second. Okay, so that is how. So you'll measure the request response time. Okay, so second one is page load time. Okay, how much time the page has taken, okay, to load that page. Okay, I'll tell you this difference actually. See, both are almost the same actually, but there is a small minor very key difference in this. I'll tell you what it is. Okay, suppose your application is connecting to database, you need to see what is database connection time. Next is what is database response time. So all this we need to measure. We need to test and measure for a given application, for an application using performance testing. Okay. So basically there are so many tools in the market. So there are so many tools in the market, like there are different tools. Tools in the market for doing the performance testing. So like a very popular or JMeter. Next is Gatlin. Okay. So these are very popular tools are there. Similarly, earlier we used to have load runner. Load runner, right? Yeah, like that. There are some popular tools in that. Very popular JMeter is very popular tool. JMeter is very popular tool. To do performance testing. Of the application. Okay. So you can see JMeter. If you can go here, see JMeter is actually developed in Java. Okay, this tool is developed in Java. So if you say Apache JMeter, and if you take the download, so you can download these binaries like JMeter 5.5, 5.5 zip folder. Okay, these are the, you can download this zip folder. Okay, I'll just copy this. So okay, this is a zip folder. Okay, so this Apache JMeter 5.5 zip folder. So you can download this zip folder and you can extract this zip folder. Okay. So what I'll do, what I'll do is let me download this zip folder. Okay. So let me download this zip folder. Yeah, this is downloaded. Just I'm extracting this zip folder. Okay. Yeah, just 1 minute. So now what I'll do, Okay. So now I extracted the zip folder. I extracted to a folder. Okay, you can start JMeter. So how you will start is, you can go to the bin folder. You can go to the bin folder and double click on this JMeter Windows batch file. Just double click on this. So this Apache JMeter will launch this. So it will launch this thing, right? So if you see here, see, just extract the zip folder. Extract the JMeter zip folder. Folder downloaded. Okay. And go to the bin folder and double click on the JMeter bat file, Windows bat file. Suppose if you are running your machine in Mac or this Linux based, you can go to the shell script, JMeter shell script. For Windows batch file, it is JMeter. Just double click on that. Since you launch this thing. Okay. In this, the first and foremost is the test plan. So test plan is the important. Just 1 minute. So test plan is the. So test plan is the important component in JMeter. So important component in JMeter. So what do test plan will contain is, see, this is the test plan where I have to test a website or a application. So first I can give the name of this test plan. Okay. So I can use some name. So my test plan, something like this. Okay. Now, if I right click on this test plan, I can create a thread group actually, you see here. See, there are few important components in test plan. So what is the first component is? So the test plan contains 3 important, see, test plan is important component in JMeter, and test plan further contains 3 important subcomponents. One is thread group. One is a thread group. So what this thread group will have is, this contains group of threads. Group of threads where each thread works like a virtual or simulated user. Okay. See, basically thread, see, you want to test an application. Okay. I developed an application. See, I developed an application. Okay. I'm hosting that application as a website. But before moving to production server, see, I developed an application. I developed an application. Right. Now, so before moving this application to a production server, I want to do the performance testing of this application. So I want to do performance and load testing of this application. Load testing of the application. See, what do you mean by a performance of load testing? I want to test this application, say first with 100 users, and then I will gradually increase the number of users from 100 to 500. I should see that my application should behave in the same way, whether it is for 100 users or 500 users or 1000 users. But How I will get these users? See, my application still not moved to production. Only if it is moved to live only, you'll get the real users. But before moving to production, you want to test this with application with so and so users. How will get the real users for this application? You cannot get the real users. Say this application now it is in some test environment. It is in test server. Okay. If your application is moved to production server only, your application becomes live and your real users start accessing your application. That is if your application is hosted as a website. But in the test server, it is still not moved to live. But you can create virtual users. Okay. You can create virtual. Virtual means not real users. So using JMeter tool, we can create virtual users. That means not real users. Like 100, 1000. We can define like 100, 500, 1000. We can define. Okay. So this we can define using thread group. We can define using threads. So each thread will act like a virtual user. So that is what your JMeter comes here. So thread group, this contains group of threads where each thread works like a virtual or simulated user. So we can create, okay, we can create any number of threads. We can create any number of threads to put the desired load on application. Okay, that means if we define 10 threads, if we define 10 threads, that means 10 virtual users. 10 virtual users are hitting the application. Right? Suppose if we define 100 threads, that means 100 virtual users are hitting the application. So that is what this thread group. Okay. So next we'll see. So we'll define the thread group now. So what I do, right click on this test plan, add threads, thread group. I can give my thread group. I can give any name to this, my thread group. Okay. I can say like number of threads I'll define as say some 20. That means 20 virtual users are created. Ramp up period 1 means, see when you're hitting the application, each thread will be starting after every 1 second. That means first thread will hit the application. Then after 1 second, second thread will come and hit the application. Okay. So this is your ramp up period. So that means, say now I'm defined 20 threads now. So 20 threads. Now your JMeter, how it will do, your JMeter will do the load testing on this application. So 20 threads are created. So first thread will start hitting your application. Okay, to see how much response, what is the response time? What is the response time coming from this application? Okay, so this is your first thread. Right? See, after 20 seconds, okay, after 20 seconds, sorry, not 20 seconds, sorry. Ramp up period is 1 second, right? After 1 second, again, second thread starts hitting. Okay, again, after 1 second, again, your third thread. Suppose I want to hit all the 20 threads at a time to my period. That means you can put ramp up period as 0. If you put ramp up period as 0, all these 20 threads will start simultaneously hit the application. But I want every 1 second, after every 1 second, the new thread should start. Like that, 20 threads will start. So like this, 20 threads will start and hit the application. So that's all. Okay, now this is my thread. Now, once I define the number of threads, the second one is HTTP request. So where this contains HTTP request configuration. This contains HTTP request where thread group will be invoking, where threads in the thread group will be invoking the HTTP URL. HTTP URL of the application. Okay. See, now we have to tell the thread. See, it is as if now, if user is there, he will type the URL of the application in the browser and test it, right? Now it is not a real user. It is a thread actually. So to thread, we have to specify the URL of the application it has to hit. Okay. So this is how. So what I'll do now. So right click on this, add sampler. See, just select this, add sampler, HTTP request. Okay. Add sampler, HTTP. See, I prepared a document to put these steps like this. So add sampler, HTTP request. Now I'll give some my HTTP request. My HTTP request. Okay. And here I'll give the server name, IP address, the port number. It is a GET request. HTTP protocol. You see, I'll give the HTTP role. See, for this, I developed one Spring Boot project. Let us run this performance testing tool on this. So what I'll do, I already have that. Let me hit one application. Yeah, let me take this project. One Spring Boot project, I'll take it. Okay. So I'll take this for. I'll just say file report. So I'll just select this project, click on finish. Okay, I haven't written any. Let me delete this test package. I'll write one controller class here. Okay, just one. See, I think if you don't know Spring Boot, just you can ignore. Just I'm writing one API here. Just a controller. And here I'll say get mapping. slash orders. I'll say public string get orders. I'll say return order 1, order 2, order 3, like this, right? And here I'll start the Spring Boot application, right? And here I'll say Spring application dot run of app dot class. Okay. So let me run this project, run as Java application. So automatically Tomcat server will start. You can remove this. So Spring Boot is getting started, and if I hit on 8080 port, localhost 8080/orders. Localhost 8080/orders. Sorry, this is the path. Okay, /orders. This is the path. This is the path, and you will have this. Okay. So this is what. So you define HTTP request. In that you define the server name, the path name, the port number. Okay. Next is the third one is. The third one is the listener. So this will capture the result of the testing process. Okay. So where it shows the request response time. So when you start the JMeter will start hitting the HTTP request that you specified with the number of virtual users that you defined in the thread group. And listener will capture that result. Okay. So where it shows request response time. If I see here, I'll just specify listener here. I'll specify like view results tree. Okay, I'll give some, or I can specify add, click on listener. Yeah, view results tree. I can use some my testing results. Right. Now let us start now. Let us start now. Let me start now. Now you see 20 requests started. Say I clicked on this button. I clicked on the start button. See, 20 requests started. Each request is showing what is the load time, connect time, latency. See each request. This is, see, 20 users, see 20, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, 20. How I got 20? Because I specified number of threads 20. So 20 requests now. 20 requests. So each is showing what is the request. This is the request. Localhost 8080 orders, and this is the response. Response is this one for each request. And here it is showing the metrics like what is the load time and all that. I'll tell you this, okay? So see your load time is your page load time. Okay. Your load time is, see, just understand the difference between load time and latency. See, load time is, the load time is the time before sending the requests to receiving the last part of the response. So latency is the time before sending the request to receiving the first part of the response. So this is the last part of response, and this is the first part of response. So load time is the time before sending the request to receiving the last part of response. Latency is the time before sending the request to receiving the first part of response. I'll tell you what is this. See, for example, now you have a user browser. Okay, now your JMeter or your user browser client. Now you hit a website. Okay. Now this will go to the web application. Your request. This is your web application. Okay, this is your web application. Okay. Now the request reaches. So request will be started, if you're sending a request body, it will reach in packets, network packets. Okay. Say user starts sending the request. So this JMeter or your browser starts sending the request. Say at 10. Okay, 10 hours, 15 milliseconds. Okay. Okay, this is 10 hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds. At 15 milliseconds, it starts sending. Now, the request has reached here. Reach it to your web application. I'd say reach the web application. At 10. Okay. .19 a.m. That means how much time it has taken to reach this from client to server? The request has taken time. To reach. from client to server in 4 milliseconds, right? 4 milliseconds. MS means milliseconds. That means if you difference this and this, your hours, minutes, and seconds are same, but milliseconds are differing. So 19 minus 15 is 4 milliseconds. Okay. Now your web application takes the request. It takes some time to process it. Okay. So it takes the request and takes some time to process this request, right? And say that means it will connect. See here, your code will get executed. It will connect your database. It will take some time to connect to the database. Okay, and the response started reaching. Okay, the response now your web application starts sending the response back. Your web application starts sending the response back. So your web application, say the response started at say 10 hours, then 45 milliseconds. Okay, it started at this. Now the response also will be reached in the packets. So this packet, so this packet, this packet, so this packet, this packet. Your response also reaches here. So by the time it reaches here, so the response, okay, reaches at, see the first packet of the response, the first packet of response reaches at, because your data will be sent in network packets. So the first packet of response reaches at say at 10 hours. Say this is some 53 AM. Okay, or let me say 48 AM. And the last packet reaches at 53 AM. The last packet, sir. The last packet. The last packet reaches at this. So your first packet reaches at, so now your latency is the time before sending the request to receiving the first part of the response. So your latency will be now, what's the time before sending the request? So the request starts at this one. So the time at sending the request. Okay, 15 AM, right? And what's the time receiving the response of the first packet? Of first packet, right? It is 48 AM, right? So similarly, what is the time received of last packet? 53 AM. Okay. Now your latency will be the difference between this and this. 48 minus 15 is how much? So your latency is 27 milliseconds. And your load time is the time before send request for receiving the last part of the response. So your load time will be the difference between this and this. So the difference between this and this. So your load time is, so 53 minus 15 is how much? 30? 32, right? What's the difference? 53 minus 15. No, this latency is how much? 48 minus 15 is how much? This is not 27, right? 27 only? No, it is actually 33, right? This is 33, right? And what's the difference between this 53 and 15? It is 38. So this is 38 milliseconds. So your load time is 38 and your latency is 30. So this is how this geometry is showing you see here. This load time and latency. See, connect time is like the time it is establishing, the connect time is this one. The time taken to send a request from here to here. This is the connect time. Okay, connect time is the time taken to send request from client to server. So these are the important factors. See, load time, connect time, latency. And what is the request size in bytes and what is sent bytes? So total size, what is the data size? Understood? So with this, we completed JMeter. With this, we completed 9 tools actually. Tomorrow, I'm going to start Jenkins. Any doubts till now? Any doubts, any questions? Yeah, JMeter is, yeah. Yeah, that's what. So there are different ways to improve the performance. Like we have to check the code, we have to fine tune the code, we have to see the server related capacity. So there are different ways to improve the performance of the application. Yeah, course will be completed in 1 week. Yes. So the remaining tools will be completed in 1 week. So if I can complete these two, these three, then these four I can complete in one session. Server load, you can increase the memory size, your RAM size, your CPU count, and all that. All right then. How can we upload the project with database? You can use Docker. I mean, I did not understand your question. Like, you want to combine both project and database, means you can use Docker. Yeah, I'll upload the notes today. All right then. So thank you all. See you tomorrow then. Thank you all. Thank you all.